bring you this. The High Court in Pretoria has spent much of the past week hearing from Senzo Meyiwa's childhood friend in the trial that's looking into the soccer star's murder. Melusi Xulu took the stand and told the court that in January 2019, he was held and tortured in police custody for about 45 minutes but opted not to open a case. Xulu has also testified that Kelly Khumalo initially refused to hand over Meyiwa's ID to his family after his passing. The former Bafana captain was killed back in 2014 and was believed to have been a botched robbery. Let's make sense of what's been revealed in court so far. Bring in legal analyst Melusi Xulu, who joins us via our video link this morning. Great to see you, sir. Thanks very much indeed for making time, at least helping us understand what's going on around this case. You know, broadly speaking, the state is trying to paint the picture of a botched robbery that must have taken place, with those 5 men in the dock being responsible for that. Is that picture crystallizing for you, at least insofar as the testimony this week is concerned?
Good morning to you, Ayanda, and the viewers at home. Thank you for inviting me. The picture of a botched robbery, it's obviously has to be a picture that is proof beyond reasonable doubt. And I think the state might have some challenges because, as we've seen, one, the identification there, Ayanda, is not very clear. The ID parties that were helped before were not helpful. And also, you have what we call a dog identification, where the witness will come and point out the accused on the dog. That's what we've seen with Zandile, and that's what we'll see with Tumelo when they come and testify, because we know previously he pointed Mr. Ntanzi as one of the accused. So it's not 100% what you would want, but that's what they are trying to create. And then obviously cell phone evidence just brought a different dimension of the whole case. But for now, I don't think it's exactly what we would want, because let's put it clear like this. The people who were in the house, at least if all of them, they were having evidence that is corroborating as far as the people that were robbers on the days. But it's not very clear as one would want. But hopefully for the state, more evidence will come in. But for now, I'm not 100% satisfied.
It's interesting you speak about their evidence corroborating, because part of the concerns around this particular case is that it's broadcast on national television, right? So even if they were to tell different stories, they're able to align their version of events, given the fact that anybody's able to listen in on the testimony. How does that complicate the work that needs to be done, not only by the state, but also by the defense here?
Well, if they will try to have their evidence to line up together as if it's corroborating, the challenge that they will have in doing that, like we saw in Tavi saying, is that they will have to deviate slightly or completely from what they wrote on the statements. Remember, when you're opening a case at the police station and the docket is open, you have to have a statement that you make that will be commissioned. So when you're going to see, or you will see evidence in court, or you hear what happened, and you want to make sure that your evidence lines up with, for example, let's say Tabi saying wants to make sure that the evidence lines up with what Zandile Khumalo said, she'll have to deviate from what she said on the statement, and she'll be cross-examined for that deviation by the defense attorney. So it's not good for the state when that happens, but the defense will obviously pick it up. And if the evidence that deviates is material, it's going to discredit the witness.
Yeah. Part of what we've heard from Melusi Xulu is that, he was subjected to some kind of torturing from police in 2019. That was 5 years after the case itself. I suppose the point he's trying to make is that there are people working behind the scenes trying to get those who were in the room to say certain things, at least under record. How do you reckon the court is going to see that claim?
I think it's if it's true, it discredits how the investigation was done. It discredits how the NPA had to reach a final decision on, obviously, the docket that we're dealing with, 626 of 14, and obviously the second docket where they are trying to get the people who are in the house as one of the accused. So it just shows that the state doesn't exactly know where they are going with this case. And I'm saying this respectfully, because where have you seen a case where there are two dockets open in one case? And then obviously, we have what we call a fruit of a poisonous tree, where you get evidence in an unconstitutional manner. It's stated clearly in Section 35 of Section 5 of our Constitution. You can't assault an accused or a suspect and expect that evidence to be properly accepted in court. Of course, it's what will come out when accused number 1 and accused number 2, if I'm not mistaken, they also made confessions, but they also say they were assaulted. So it just shows that the state was desperate to get evidence, but the way that they are getting evidence might be a problem, constitutionally speaking.
Yeah. You've also made reference to the cell phone evidence, which you say has added a different dimension to what's going on in this particular trial. Of course, this came from Colonel Lambertus Steyn, who has essentially gone through some of the data of the cell phones that were present at the scene itself. Kelly Khumalo, of course, making headlines in the wake of that. And there's been such a debate about whether or not that evidence leads us to a point where she, too, has to come and say something before court. What's your take on that?
I will refer to what I stated on your show, I think last week in Paul. I say that, it's a bit shocking and worrying. However, when a state witness, even an expert witness is cross-examined, new information comes up. So my first assessment last week was that it is shocking and, it's very concerning that there is a link of one of the witnesses to one of the accused. It was problematic. But as there was more information that came out, it was clear that there may have been a link, but it's not clear what was stated. What was the nature of the conversation? That's why when Advocate Nshololo was cross-examining Steyn, she asked him, is there a proof of a conspiracy between accused number 5 and Kelly Khumalo? He said he can't state that, he can't be clear about it. The only thing he can say is that there was a link, but what was the nature of the link? Obviously, we'll have suspicions, but what needs to be done, as I've said, is that the state needs to prove beyond reasonable doubt. The only concern I will say on this is that the state probably did not investigate further on this link, and it leaves us with questions, but obviously the questions or the evidence must be beyond reasonable doubt.
Absolutely. The case continues this week. Melusi Xulu, thanks for helping us make sense of developments so far. Really appreciate your time, Melusi, speaking to us there as a legal analyst.